It's a blowout. 8th inning, 10-3. Bases are loaded for Verlander, who waits on a 3-0 pitch. He swings, and it's a high fly ball. Deep center field. It is gone. Home run. And a huge bat flip to celebrate. All right, Ben, start the show already.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into Flippin Bats with your host, Ben Verlander. Great episode this week. Of course, the storylines. We also have Yankee legend Bernie Williams joining the show. 4-time World Series champion, 5-time All-Star, an absolute legend. So I cannot wait for that. Of course, we have the hot mail questions where you guys call in. It is one of my favorite parts of the show, and 6-tool player of the week. But let's get right into it. Some of the biggest news from this past week. Albert Pujols is going to the Los Angeles Dodgers? Seemed a little weird to me, but hey, the machine, the absolute legend, is shifting cities in LA and is now a member of the Los Angeles Dodgers. So I actually wanted to bring in Pedro Mora of the MLB on Fox team to get his insight on this. Worked with the Dodgers for years, and now he's with us, MLB on Fox. So Pedro, first off, thanks for joining me, man. What's the deal with this Pujols signing? Were you a little shocked, Pujols to the Dodgers?
I was. It turns out it's a little bit more palatable for a 41-year-old to be a part-time player on a really good team than on a mediocre team. And so I think that's what we're seeing with the Pujols. He was not willing to fill this role with the Angels, but he's willing to do it here in Los Angeles. It's certainly surprising. It also makes some sense when you think about how the Dodgers value veterans and how they can find ways to incorporate players into part-time roles.
So what is their plan for him in a part-time role? Is he more than just a pinch hitter once a game?
I think he's mostly a pinch hitter once a game, but conveniently or inconveniently, depending on how you look at it, shortly after he agreed to deal with the Dodgers, Corey Seager went down with an injury, which opens up first base against lefties at least, where Max Muncy can slide over to second base and Gavin Lux can slide to shortstop to replace Seager. So it all opened up even better for Pujols, within 10 hours or so after he agreed to that deal with the Dodgers.
So I do eventually, I will get to Seager, but more on Pujols, it kind of seems like, based off of what you said, he's willing to do the exact same role as he would have had with the Angels. He just wants to win.
Yeah, I mean, can you blame the man? If you're going to sign with one team that has the best chance to win the World Series, and granted, the Dodgers have not started the first 7 weeks of the season like you'd want, but who would you rather be on if you want to win than the Los Angeles Dodgers? And so it makes a lot of sense, and it's also possible that he had to confront, only part-time roles being available as of this week when he became a free agent. So he did. If he had his pick of part-time roles, he picked maybe the best one.
Do you think he would have, first off, absolutely. Like you said, the Dodgers haven't gotten off to the best start, and they're still over 500 and right in the thick of things in the division. And clearly, I think still the odds-on favorite to win the World Series. So not a bad part-time choice. Do you think he would have rather gone to a team that could have used, just plugged him in at DH, let's say the Royals, or a team that is not going to contend, we don't think, at this point in the year, and been a full-time DH, or would he have rather been a part-time pinch hitting once a game kind of guy on a team that's going to win?
It's a good question, Ben. Pujols hasn't commented since the unceremonious release that the Angels bestowed on him. He'll be speaking to reporters later today, and maybe he'll shed some light on that specifically. But it's a funny thing, right? He hasn't been very good against right-handed pitching in recent years. It's just the truth of it. Albert doesn't admit that. Not someone who makes a habit of admitting his flaws publicly, but I'm sure he's aware of it to some degree, and he probably, I could see how he thinks this is a good fit for him. Where it allows him to focus on what he's good at. And the Dodgers pretty clearly see that too.
Do you think there was if he's fine with this role, because everybody when he first, was no longer with the Angels was saying, well, the Cardinals are out of the equation because they're a National League team. Do you think at this point, knowing he ended up signing here, that he potentially reached out to the Cardinals saying he was willing to be in a role like this? Because they're a good team and potentially could win that division for sure in the Central.
Yeah, I don't know specifically on the Cardinals and the potential fit and whether there was a reach out on which side. I do know that there's nobody offers more flexibility in their position player group than the Dodgers do, right? Paul Goldschmidt doesn't slide over to play second base some days, right? Like Max
Right.
Muncy will play third too if there's a day off needed for Turner or something of that sort. So that's what the Dodgers have created for themselves with this flexibility with their an entire arrangement of guys who slide from position to position. So I think it's fair to say that if you were going to be a part-time player, LA gives you maybe the best likelihood of getting semi-regular at bats.
Yep, I totally agree. Pedro, thank you so much, man, for joining me for a few minutes
Yeah.
to talk some Pujols, and I'm pumped to have you as a part of this team. So thanks, man.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Of course. So Pujols is now with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Here's kind of my thoughts. I was shocked when the news came out. I thought for sure he'd end up at an American League team where he could DH a couple of times a week. But the more I think about this, the more it makes sense. One, he wants to win. Two, he's probably going to get an at-bat every day almost. He will be pinch hitting a lot. And not only that, he'll get some starts. Look, the Dodgers are beat up right now. We all know it. So at least for the first little while, he's going to be getting some starts. Pujols will get to play some first base. Muncy will move over to second. With Seager being out, Gavin Lux moves over to short, which moves Chris Taylor out to the outfield. It makes a lot of sense now, and the guy wants to win. I totally understand that, and the more and more I think about it, the more and more I like this move of Albert Pujols going to the Los Angeles Dodgers. And who knows, maybe we'll get an NLCS showdown of Dodgers and Cardinals, and Pujols pinch hits and hits a walk-off homer to advance to the World Series, and it sort of be a poetic end to the career of an absolute legend of Albert Pujols. But moving on in storylines of the week, the Oakland Athletics, it came out earlier this week that MLB wants them to move. If they can't figure it out in Oakland, if they can't get a new stadium done, MLB wants them to look into possible relocation sites. Here's my thoughts on it. I want them to stay in Oakland. I know it's the cool and popular thing to talk about them moving. They should move here. They should move there. I want them to get this done. I've been to a few playoff games in Oakland. They are so loud and so fun, and these fans in Oakland really care about their A's. They deserve better than the Oakland Coliseum. They do. The A's do. The A's have been a competitive baseball team for a long time. Not that that's a direct correlation of deserving a better stadium, but the team deserves better. The fans deserve better. I don't care what the problem is in Oakland and why they aren't building a new stadium. I just want them to get it done. I'm sure it's a lot of money and where the money's going to come from and blah, blah, blah. But I'm glad MLB did this. They put the clamp down on them and said, if you don't get it done, fine. But we need them to move elsewhere. So I hope they do get it done. But if they don't, I do have a few cities I'd like to see them relocate to. We got Portland. I actually wrote about this for Fox Sports. 5 possible relocation spots. Portland, Oregon. They've been in the talks about it for a long time, getting an expansion team, so that could be a good one. Charlotte, North Carolina. They have a AAA team that's always at the top of the league in attendance. That would be a perfect fit. Vegas, because, of course, Vegas. Another Oakland team moving to Vegas. Poor Oakland, man. All these teams are moving out. The Raiders moved to Oakland. The Warriors out over to San Fran. Poor Oakland fans, man. They deserve better. Montreal would be a good one, a good fit. Having a team back in Montreal. They were there a while ago. I think it's time to get them another team. And of course, my favorite pick would be Nashville. I think it's long overdue that we have a team in Nashville. So that would be a potential expansion site or relocation site for the A's as well. But look, I love the Oakland fans, and they deserve better. All right, and the next storyline from this past week. Manny Machado against the Cardinals, sliding in the middle of the baseline, taking out the base runner. Look, it became a big conversation piece. It wasn't a big deal at the time, and then it got slowed down and broken down and thought, was this play kind of dirty? Machado has that stigma about him. He's done some things in the past that rubbed some people the wrong way. Was this one of those? Was this a dirty play? No. No, it wasn't. And I'm tired of hearing people saying this was a dirty play. Look, as a baseball player, my job is to avoid the double play. Let me show you what I see when this play is broken down. I see a player running full speed to second base. I see the second baseman field the ball. Machado thinks he's going to flip it to second as he normally would, but he runs up in the baseline to tag out Machado and try and get a double play. The quick tag and throw to first. Machado, you can see it, is a little thrown off, slows down, and immediately gets down. What happened as a result is the fielder was coming at him. He was running towards second. They collide. The second baseman flips over him. Machado immediately gets up, makes sure everyone is okay, and goes off the field. Nobody raised any stink about it. Nobody. Not the Cardinals, not anybody, until later when it was broken down. I cannot stress this enough. This is what, as a base runner, I am taught to do. The baseline is mine. From first base to second base, that 90 feet is mine. If you get in my way, that's why there's the rule, impeding the runner. You can't impede the runner when he has the right to second base. What we're also taught is when a defender comes to us and tries to do what that second baseman did, he did the right thing. He went at Machado, tried to start the double play, tag him, and throw to first. We are taught as a base runner to get down, to make the tag harder, not run off in any direction, because at that point you're immediately called out and he can just throw to first. We are taught to get down and try and avoid the tag, and that is what Machado does there. He's running to second. His momentum is still going that way. The second baseman's coming this way. Machado gets down, and it ends up with the second baseman tumbling over him. Very, very clean play, in my opinion. Not dirty in any sense. And it's good from both sides. It's good from the defender. It's good from Machado. They both tried to do the right thing there. They both did do the right thing. So anybody out there saying that this play is dirty is either in denial and has it out for Manny Machado because of what he's done in the past and you think this may be dirty, or they just don't know the game of baseball, because I promise you, this is what we're taught to do. And thankfully, this didn't end in an injury. It potentially could have, but it still wouldn't have been anybody's fault had it. Both players were doing exactly what they're taught to do, and that's how it ended up. And so a very clean play on both sides of the ball. So that does it for storylines of the week. But now, absolute legend joins me. Yankees legend, number 51, retired in Yankee history, 4-time champ, 5-time All-Star, has won a batting title. This guy, the honors go on and on and on for him. So I wanted to welcome in Yankee legend Bernie Williams. Bernie, welcome in. Thank you so much for joining me, dude.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course, man. So right off the top, trivia, career trivia. We got a leaderboard. Let's see how you do, all right? Right off the top. All right, 60 seconds. Who was your first career MLB home run off of?
I am going to say Chuck Finley.
Correct.
Back in 91.
Yes. Who was your most recent hit off of? Your last hit of your career?
Ooh, I have no idea. That one, I think it was against Toronto in Yankee Stadium, but I don't remember the pitcher. I think it was a lefty.
Yeah. Who was your first career hit
but
off
I don't remember. First career hit off? Oh, man, come on. He was a closer for the Baltimore Orioles. Oh, man. Name really escapes my mind. But I know he was a closer for the Baltimore Orioles in 1991.
All right. Who was your first career strikeout against?
Oh, that should have been really early. Probably Chuck Finley did it, or
yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't remember
yes. that. Where did you bat in your first Major League AB? Where in the lineup?
I must have been either 8th or 9th.
Yep.
Maybe. think it was 51. Was it 51?
Yep, 51. All right.
All right.
That's time. That's time. All right. Pretty good. And it was Chuck Finley.
Come on,
and
man, that's crazy.
the last hit of your career was against Scott Downs. You had the team right.
Oh, right. Yeah.
You had the team right.
I remember because this is a funny story. And actually, I give him a lot of credit. After I hit that base hit, he actually tipped his cap to me.
That's cool.
I do remember that. Last thing I remember about that. Yeah, that was very classic.
That's cool. So, all right. So I wanted to get into your career in the beginning. What was it like growing up playing baseball in Puerto Rico?
It was great. I was in a situation where my mom and my dad wanted me and my brother to get out of the house and start playing sports around 7, 8 years old. And she got us in this little league team that we really didn't know anything about sports or baseball, or for that matter. And we really struggled that year, especially myself, because in Puerto Rico and most Latin American countries, they start playing as they're in their diapers, playing t-ball. So at 8 years old, I was way behind the game. My dad actually, after that little league season, took me and my brother every day after school and really spend the time with us, teaching us, how to play the game, how to catch, how to throw, how to hit, and giving us all these really great life lessons that, I take up to this day. Then, the evolution of my little league career took me to, playing in the 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And at 16, I got signed to play professional baseball with the New York Yankees. But those years in Little League were, I wasn't really a big prospect back then. I don't remember. The only thing that I could do well was run. I had this background in track and field, but if you would have told me at 9 years old or 10, you're going to be this Major League Baseball player, I'm going to play 16 years with the Yankees, I would say you're absolutely nuts. But I guess it just kind of turned out being that way. But I had a lot of great times, playing little leagues, and then signed really young as a professional baseball player playing in the minor leagues.
Yeah, so you mentioned how in Latin America it starts so young, and you also had a tryout in Miami at 16 years old. Bernie, when I was 16, I was learning the gas pedal from the brake, and you're having a tryout in Miami for Major League Baseball team. How did that go?
It was awful. The fact that they signed me was nothing short of a miracle. I think I was just kind of battling the flu. The scout that saw me at the time, Mr. Roberto Rivera, may his soul rest in peace. He was with me at the time, and I remember just seeing everything green, having this huge headache, body ache. I think I had fever at the time. And I went through the tryout saying, these guys think that I am not even worth the time. And oddly enough for me, they went, I think we have you have the potential to play with us, and we want to extend you an opportunity to play in the minor leagues. And I was like, what? Are you kidding me? But yeah, then it was just trying to convince my parents that was a good option, because my mom was an educator, and all these sports and arts and all that thing was just basically trying to get us to be well-rounded, educated. This is going to be your livelihood or anything like that. So we had to convince her that it was going to be a good move for me to sign going into the unknown at 17, right after high school, to go into this pursuit of this Major League Baseball career. It's like, dude, man, what are you going to do? So I think it was a really interesting time in my life where we had to make some hard decisions. Obviously in hindsight, it was probably the right decision that I made at the time.
I think so, man. I think so. So then you sign with the Yankees, you go into the minor leagues, and this is a question I ask all of my guests. What is one memory from the minor leagues that still sticks with you throughout your career and to this day?
Wow. You know what? I think it was probably the first time that I stepped into the like the first minor league game that I went to, and I was part of. I remember being in with the Yankees at Ed Smith Complex in Sarasota, Florida. We used to call it Sarah because it was like 95 degrees at 8 o'clock in the morning. It seems like. And we were playing in a complex that had the Dodgers, the Rangers, and I think it was another team. But I was playing against Juan Gonzalez. Sammy Sosa was playing with the Rangers at that time. And I think Ray Sanchez, he actually played in the major leagues, with a whole bunch of teams. And I had a lot of people that I played with and that against in the major leagues, and we had this sort of commonality in our start. The humble beginnings in the Florida, in the Sarasota League in Florida, and then I guess fast forward a few years after that, there was a time that they sent me down from AAA. I was about to make it to the big leagues, and then the administration there, the scouting and the minor league people decided that they were not going to rush me. So they sent me down to AA, and I was about to quit. I was like, hey, this is not for me. And I remember calling my mom at the time, and she told me, if you quit this, you will quit everything else in your life. So you make sure that you put your best effort there, and have them, if they think that you don't really you can't do the job, have them tell you that, but you're not going to quit. And I took her words, and actually gave me more motivation to work even harder. And 2 years later, I was in the big leagues. So I mean, that little bit of advice from my mom really took me a long way. At that time.
So it wasn't an easy journey for you, and it was a lot of up and down. You said it. You almost felt like you were gonna quit. What was the moment when you got to the big leagues that you were like, I belong here. I know I now belong here?
I think it was probably because I think I remember spending parts of the 91 season and 92 season sort of in this, what they call the shuffle. Or the shuttle rather, is, this time when you're between AAA and the big leagues, and they have, so you don't really feel like you belong in the big leagues when you're in that, that ordeal happening. It wasn't until 1993 when they made the trade for Paul O'Neill. Roberto Kelly was this regular center fielder, and they traded him to Cincinnati for Paul O'Neill. Paul O'Neill ended up being the right fielder, and I guess that's when they said, "Hey, this is your position to lose, so we're gonna pencil you in." And big emphasis of pencil.
So you were issued number 51 when you got to the big leagues, but I know throughout the course of your career, Steinbrenner actually said he would support you moving to number 2 or number 6. Now, a single-digit number with the Yankees is something to there's something to be said about those numbers, and you actually stuck with 51. What was your reasoning with that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I got mixed feelings about that. There's times that I say, what, you should have gone down and take one of those numbers. And I think at the time, I don't know if 2 was available, because I think the shortstop that was playing before Derek was wearing number 2, but actually number 6 was available. And I remember Buck Showalter telling me, "Hey, number 6 is available, and you can have it if you want it." And I talked to a whole bunch of people, and they said, "Well, I mean, you've made it to the big one. You've been wearing it for a number of years. Might as well stick with it. So it might be your lucky number. Whatever." So I never really took the chance to go into the single digit number, whatever. And now sometimes I regret it because there's no single-digit number to be found in the Yankee organization right now. And I think, I had a chance to have that, and I didn't. But still, I figure that, if that's the only thing that I have to worry about in my career, I think I had a good career.
I agree, man. And you made 51 your own, and you owned it, and it's retired. And I'm glad you didn't switch. But so you are a 4-time World Series champion. Now, I want to get a memory from you, like your most important, a memory that sticks out to you from each World Series, like the best memory you have from it. So in '96 against the Atlanta Braves, what's one memory from that World Series?
Ticker tape parade. I mean, I've never seen anything like that in my life. We had this parade from what they call the Canyon of Heroes, going from Battery Park in Manhattan all the way to City Hall, and up. I think it was like, I don't know how many blocks, but I remember having just looking at a sea of people. They cram about 8 million people. I think it was like 4 or 5 million people in like this 12-block space. And that's all I saw, man. It was just incredible. People throwing all kinds of confetti, and it was just insane. They have a big 20-feet python there. And just to see the love, a whole city just pouring out of love for their beloved team that has just won the World Series. It was just an experience that I will never forget. '96, the series was great. The season was amazing, but that ticker tape parade was just the most amazing thing that I've ever saw at that time.
'98, the Padres.
Well, '98 was a really big season for me individually. I think arguably the best season that I had in my career. I mean, '98 and '99, I was able to win the batting title, and then I won the Gold Glove for defense, and we won the World Series. And I remember sweeping the Padres in that World Series, and it seems like that team was invincible. We had a meeting early on in the season. Joe Torre got us together. We were struggling a little bit, and he kind of laid the law, and everybody had a chance to say something a little bit during the course of that meeting. And then after that, it became the beginning of this great run. That team was the one that sort of set the tone. So I think overall, I wouldn't say the World Series, but the whole season was special for me, 1998.
Well, you said that year kind of set the tone, and I can't argue with you, because the very next year against the Atlanta Braves, you guys did it again. Hit me with a memory from that World Series.
1999 was the Braves after they were, sort of upset. I mean, in many ways in '96, I think they were coming down and going back to, get some revenge. And I remember that I think it was, winning that series, sort of cemented our position. I mean, going back to back, it was just unbelievable. It really set the tone even further for people that, before '96, before '97, we had a hard time getting free agents to try to get to play for the Yankees. I didn't think, they were like, hard to play for New York. Maybe they didn't really agree with a lot of the Mr. Steinbrenner's policies or, demeanor. But after that '99 season, it seems like everybody wanted to have a part of that, sort of winning attitude that we had, that we set the tone in. And it was just a special year as well. That whole run, man, it was 96, 98, 99, 2000. And sometimes I even take 2001 as being, so special in my career and for us as a team as well.
And then, and you touched on it, the last one, 2000, the Subway Series. You guys beat the Mets in the World Series. What's the memory that sticks out from that one?
Well, the memory that sticks out, well, two memories. One, catching the very last out Mariano Rivera pitched, a fastball to Mike Piazza that, for all practical purposes, I thought he was going to be out, out and over the fence. And I was able to make that catch. And then I don't remember anything else after I caught that ball except for carrying Mr. Joe Torre in our shoulders. From Shea Stadium. I remember him even crying, shedding a tear and having this really emotional moment, playing the Mets and the Yankees. It was just so special. But I mean, for me, carrying Joe Torre and being part of that crew that would rally around our manager, and we gave him a lot of credit, for that great run that we had. And he was very emotional at that time, and I think we felt it. A lot of gratitude, and it was just incredible to experience that.
God, that's so awesome, man. So you hit 22 postseason home runs. Do you have a favorite?
No, I don't.
You hit 22 of them in the postseason. That's a pretty
great. I didn't hit many. I don't think I hit 300. So every one of those that I hit in the postseason, every one of them are special.
Was one of those World Series of those four? Do you have a favorite one of them?
No, I think all of them, even the ones that we lost. I remember losing in 2001 and 2003. The 2001 was probably the most, I've said this in many conversations before, the fact that we were part of the, I guess, the healing process of the nation after the tragic events of 9/11. It seems like the whole country rallied around the Yankees playing the Diamondbacks. And being part of that whole process, going from I don't know what to do, it seems like there's a lot more important things to think about in baseball. Not in baseball, other than baseball, and we sort of gravitated into this role of bringing a little bit of normalcy to that whole situation where the country was in such despair, trying to figure out, what were we going to do next? Having the opportunity to be part of that sort of distraction to give the country a bit of I wouldn't say rest, but just a little bit of a normalcy, sense of normalcy after that whole deal. To me, it was just a very proud moment in my career. Even though we lost the series, against a very well-crafted Diamondback team, I really feel a great sense of pride for being part of that process at that time in our career.
That 98 team kind of started the run for you guys, and you said it's almost like something clicked for you guys. What was it with that 98 team that got the ball rolling and turned you guys into just back-to-back World Series champs?
Well, I think, I said a little bit about it before. I think it was just the fact that we started kind of very slow. I think Joe Torre, our manager at the time, saw a trend that he wasn't happy with. So I remember having this players meeting in Seattle where he kind of, sort of laid it out, on us. He's saying, you guys are a much better team that you're showing. And he really, I don't think I've ever seen Joe Torre mad, maybe a handful of times in the, 20 plus years that I've known him. And that was one of those times, he was very upset. And he was, calling out, plays and situations in which he knew that we could do a lot better. And I think that was probably one of the pivotal moments in the season where everybody started really paying attention to their own individual work and having this sort of collective attitude that we're just going to go out there and try to do the best that we can. And that sort of translated into this snowball effect that we just kept winning and winning and winning and winning. By the time the summer came, we were pretty well into, we would lose maybe 2 out of every 10 games, and we had this attitude that every game that we were going to play, we had a really good chance to win. And that sort of propelled us to the postseason. I think at the time, we sort of broke the record for regular season wins. And we really took it to heart. That said, the regular season doesn't matter. What matters is finishing the job. And, you can have those teams in those records for the regular season. But if you don't win the World Series, all of that work, probably would amount to nothing. So we really had in our minds having this attitude of finishing the job that we started at the beginning of the season, and winning the World Series just really put a little bit of an icing of that really great cake that we were having. It was just an amazing season that we had, where every time we came to the stadium, every time we went on the road, this intimidation factor that we have, having this great bullpen with Mariano, anchored by Mariano and Pineda, and this whole lineup that we didn't have a lot of sluggers in the team, but we have all across the board this great, 50 to 20 home runs, 70 to maybe 85 runs batted in, all across the board. Everybody have being tough outs, working the pitchers to maybe just getting to that bullpen between the fifth and the sixth inning. And then if we had the game was closed after the seventh or eighth, forget it, because we had the greatest bullpen. And then, at the same time, anchored by Mariano, which is arguably the best closer in the history of the game. I mean, it was just such a winning combination, such a rare thing that would, happen. And in hindsight, we realized how difficult it was to have that accomplished, and I feel a lot of pride in that.
That 98 team, how are you guys comparing against the 2021 New York Yankees, and how would you fare in baseball today?
Well, I think it was a different time. I think the game was different. We played the game a little bit different than the Yankees I think are playing right now. I think utilizing all the analytics and all the numbers and all the all these plethora of information that players have available at this time, it might have maybe affect the way that they go about their business on a daily basis. I think we did have access to a lot of that information. I don't think it was as prevalent as it is now. All this exit velocity and spin rate and all this, all these things that are really making a difference in the way that players approach the game. I think it does make a difference. I think we play a lot more little ball, moving the runners over, bunting, and just kind of, focusing a little bit more on the fundamentals of the game. We're trying to play, trying to get people on base and try to wear people down. More about, And I think, getting away from that a little bit, having this attitude of hitting, like the 3-run home run thing, I think it has been a little bit of a change. But I mean, this team, the 2021 Yankees, is a very talented team, and I think they're actually putting it together right now, having a nice stretch of games going. And I think they're going to be a team that is going to have some impact in this season. Hopefully, everybody will remain healthy, and the pitching will come up. And Garrett Cole, obviously one of the best pitchers in the game. They have a solid bullpen, and I think this team is going to do some damage this year.
What was it like getting to play in your first World Baseball Classic? I just think the World Baseball Classic is so cool, and being able to represent your nationality and your country. What was that like for you?
It was very special. Every time I had an opportunity to represent my country, playing the sport that I, obviously grew up playing, there's one thing, to play for New York and to play, for the fans in Yankee Stadium and all over the country. But I think it has a little bit of a different feel when you are doing all of that, representing the country that you were born, and everybody has all these great expectations, your island, your people, and they're putting all of that, stake and all that hope in the team, and you feel it, you feel it in your heart, and you want to do this because you want to represent your island, your country, and against all these great countries, that are playing baseball as well. it was always to me. I think I played 2 or 3 of those, and it was always very special and very special for me as a player. And having that opportunity to, you know, it was just great. I mean, one of those classics I played after I retired from the Yankees, try to, maybe try to make a little bit of a comeback. But other than that, I mean, it was just great to have the opportunity to represent my country, and I will do it over and over again if I have to do it.
So I want to switch gears into your post-career and into your music, but before we do that, before we switch gears there, I ask everybody some career moments type questions. So just three questions from your career. And the first one is, what was your welcome to the MLB moment?
My welcome to the MLB moment. Man. Whew. I think it was going into the airport and having somebody carry my bags for me. Say, what can I do for you, Mr. Williams? Welcome to New York. To me, that was my welcome to the big leagues moment. Up until that point, being in the minor leagues, it was all about, you carrying yourself, making sure that you have all your accommodations and talking about, making arrangements for yourself. Once you got to the big leagues, it was a whole different game. You could focus more on your, trying to get your skill level and try to make sure that you prepare yourself to be at your best and not really worry about all this ancillary stuff. So to me, that was the moment that I said, oh my God, this is great. I will never want to go back down. This is where I want to stay.
What is your most memorable play on the field?
That's a hard one, man. I think, I'm going to have to go back. And there's so many. It's kind of unfair to try to pin it down to one. But I would probably say, making the last out in the 2000 World Series. That was, the one moment that, the whole baseball world their eyes were upon us. And making that last out, to me, sort of epitomized, the success that we had as an organization, playing, a local team in the biggest stage that we could ever play, in the sport, and making that last out was, to me, was the one thing that I will never forget. It's like, wow, this is like the world is watching. We were able to make it happen, and I made the last out, on the World Series. So, I mean, it cannot get any better than that.
And lastly, what is a memory that sticks out to you from your career that took place off of the baseball field? With teammates, With teammates. Yes.
I think I'm going to have to go back to 2001 when we were asked to make some appearances throughout the city after the tragic events of 9/11. All the professional teams in sport teams in New York made appearances at hospitals, the Javits Center, places where we had firemen, EMS, doctors. And I remember going to a place called the Armory where they were, this is a little bit graphic, but I think it's poignant to say, they were basically accumulating all the artifacts that they would find in, the premises, where the Twin Towers were. And they were looking for people to, submit artifacts so they can actually match their DNA for, from things that they were finding. And it was such a somber, kind of thing to go through. But I think, for about half hour, 20 minutes to half hour, the whole attitude in the place changed when everybody started saying, the Yankees are here, the Yankees are here. And I remember talking to this lady, and I said to her, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to tell you, and I don't know what to say to you, but I think you need a hug. In that moment, it was just a moment that I will never forget. Outside of baseball, being that kind of support and just giving these people something else to think about rather than their own situation at the time. It was just incredible to be a part of an. I don't know. I mean, still have no words to describe. The moment those moments. Feeling, being supportive, and being in New York at that time.
Yeah, man, that's incredible. So I wanted to switch into your music, and you have a huge love of music, and you yourself are an incredible musician. Where did that start? Where did your love of guitar start?
My love of guitar started listening to my father at night when I was about 7 or 8 years old. He was a merchant marine, and he traveled all over the world, and he brought a Spanish guitar, a flamenco guitar, with him from his travels. And when he retired, he decided that we were going to settle in Puerto Rico to raise us as a family. One of the things that he used to do was at night, late at night. I mean, we'd say late at night, and I mean like 9 or 10, because we were up at 5 in the morning every day. 9 or 10, he would go out in the darkness of the living room, and he would take his guitar and would start playing. He sort of taught himself a little bit how to play. And I remember listening to him. And one of those nights, I went to him and asked him if he could teach me. And to my surprise, I thought he was going to go back to bed. You need to wake up early. But he said, "Oh, of course." And he taught me my first couple of playing chords. And from that moment on, this light bulb went up in my head. And, I started this great love affair with music, and specifically with the guitar, that has lasted up until this day. That was a pretty sweet moment, and I will never forget it.
In 2011, you wrote a book called Rhythms of the Game. And I took away this point that you said, which I found very interesting. You talk about the symmetry between hitting and the game of baseball and the rhythm of music. Talk about that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the book was basically designed to find this correlation between all the aspects of playing on stage with musicians and having that correlation of playing on the field on a professional baseball game, in front of 50,000 people. You're trying to draw that parallel, starting with the preparation for both disciplines. I needed to feel that I was prepared. And in baseball was, to go through all my routines of soft toss, batting practice, defense, and all of that, and to make sure that I was in a clear mindset, saying, okay, I'm ready. And so in music was the same thing, playing my arpeggios, my scales, my all the work that I needed to do musically to be ready to play in a concert. Playing through my music and interacting with the rest of the musicians in the band. And then having to make a sort of a thing called music, going out there and playing out in front of people, and you have one chance to make it right. There's no do-overs. Once the ball comes into your thing, when you're trying to hit it, you cannot call timeout and say, okay, do over. The same thing in music. Once you play a note and you send it out into the universe, there's no way of bringing it back. So it was just a matter of kind of coming into terms into your preparation, dealing with adversity, having this sort of great work ethic, and feeling sure that you were ready to go, and trusting that preparation. So the book talks about that process and what it was for me to be part of that, and the fact that I was able to take some of the things that I learned in music at a very early age and get them into my training as a baseball player, and then taking some of the experiences that I had as a baseball player playing in the big leagues and bringing them down to, playing on stage, playing under pressure, having this, this thing that you have to do it one time and you have one chance to make it right. And just having translated that into playing on stage, when you're playing, and everybody is like looking at your fingers, the spotlight is on you, and it's like, okay, let it rip. This is what it is. And once you get to that moment, it's the culmination of all the hard work that you have done, and you put yourself in a position to be successful by working hard and preparing yourself and making sure that you have all those things in place.
What was the experience like playing with Mark Anthony in 2000 at the All-Star game?
Man, that was amazing. That was amazing. Mark Anthony at the time, I mean, he was an up, like one of the stars in the music industry, and that for that matter, not only Mark Anthony, but I've had the opportunity to play with a whole lot of great people. People that I've said, hey, I am I'm a musician, but I was also a New York Yankee. And I've been a fan of you for years and years and years. And then they go back and say, well, I'm a musician. I've been doing this, but I've been a fan of baseball for years and years. I've been a fan of you and the Yankees and all that stuff. So there's like this mutual respect and admiration for each other's careers. That to me, that was my opening, my opening door to this great world of music, where I had the opportunity to play with a lot of great people and interacting with a lot of great musicians, just because I had this great opportunity prior to that, playing professional sports with the New York Yankees.
Bernie, tell us all about the Breathless Ballad Challenge.
Well, the Breathless Ballad Challenge is something that makes me very excited to talk about, because it's all about my dad. My dad passed away in 2001 due to a rare disease called idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, which is basically a scarring of your lung tissue. It could be misdiagnosed because it's a respiratory illness, and it could be confused with other things that may not be that, like COPD and asthma and bronchitis and all the respiratory conditions. But there's certain parameters that you can tell when it's IPF, idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. This is a terminal disease. My dad passed away from it. And in 2001, I was fortunate enough to write a tune for him called Para Don Berna. My dad's name is just the same as mine, Bernabé, in Spanish. But we used to call him Berna as a term of endearment. So I wrote that tune for him probably about 20 years ago. And this year, we had this really interesting idea to put lyrics to the tune, because he was originally thought of as an instrumental tune. So this year we had this great idea to put lyrics to it. So we put it out to the public, who started submitting lyrics to the tune, and that was such a great process. We had more than 70 entries. We were able to narrow it down to 5, and that was basically the Breathless Ballad Challenge. When we are in the process to pick the one set of lyrics that is going to be the one that we're going to put into the song, and it's very exciting. It's a tune that was composed to be a tribute for my dad, and showed the gratitude that I had for his life and everything that he did for us. He was my hero. He was the guy that taught me how to play baseball, taught me how to play music, and he really introduced me to this great set of values that he tried to instill in me up to this day. So I wanted to, give it back to him and pay this tribute. And now it's kind of gone on this sort of next level thing where we got lyrics supporting the music. Now we had a panel of 10 judges from all walks of life. We have Queen Latifah, we have Paul Schaefer, we have the Bacon Brothers, we have people from poets and people from the sports industry. In Willie Randolph, one of my mentors and a former Yankee player as well. And all these people were basically examining and listening to the lyrics and figuring out which one they were going to choose. And it has been so hard to choose one, because they're all great, gut-wrenching, heart-wrenching lyrics, that talk about their own experiences, either with IPF for themselves or people that they love that have basically experienced the same thing that my dad was experiencing. We're going to record the song with the brand new set of lyrics, in a professional manner. And I think it's going to be really exciting, and still bringing awareness to this rare disease that not a lot of people know about. And I think it's going to help a lot of people. So I'm very excited to talk about it.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And I would be remiss if I don't ask you, Bernie, if you have a guitar near you, you got anything you can play for me?
I do not have a guitar near me at this point, but I mean, I don't know, man. I think you're gonna have to go see me play one of my concerts, man. I think you'll probably have a great time.
Bernie, you got yourself a deal.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna come to one of your concerts, and I'm gonna hit you up, and I'm gonna come see you play at a concert. All right?
Awesome, man. Let me know, man. You have an open invitation.
All right, I appreciate it, man. Bernie, thank you so much. One last thing before I let you go. Did you know that this year is the 25th anniversary of you being on Seinfeld?
Are you kidding me? I have no idea. I had no idea. That was a different conversation, man. But that was just amazing to have the opportunity to do that with actually my teammate Derek Jeter was part of that thing. And we had such a blast. And from time to time, I see the reruns, on it. And I see sometimes, people call me, hey, I saw you on TV on Seinfeld like 25 years later. It's like, dude, I did look a lot younger back then. But it was a blast, man. It's such a great honor to be part of that great show. And it has legs. I still see it to this day.
That's awesome. Bernie, thank you so much for joining me, man. This has been a blast. Thank you so much, and I'm going to come to a concert. I'll see you at a concert someday. I got to come watch you play. You're incredible, man.
I'm going to hold you to that.
All right, deal. You had an incredible career and everything, and you're continuing that with your music. So thank you so much for joining me, my friend.
Absolutely, man. Anytime. Thank you so much for having me and having the opportunity to talk about idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis.
Of course. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. All right, and thank you again, Bernie Williams, for joining me. An absolute legend, guys. A Yankee legend. So thank you, and that was a blast having him on. Let's transition into the hotline questions, where you guys call me and voice your concerns or ask me anything you want. This is one of my favorite parts of the show. So make sure you're calling in at 213-537-9339 so you can be featured on the show. So Rick, hit me with the first question.
Hello. What do you think about Carlos Correa's struggles during a contract year? Thanks, Ben. I love the pod.
Perfect. Good question. Thank you for calling it in. Look, baseball is very, very mental, as I've talked about a good bit, and I don't think people watching the game quite realize that. Look, it's a game where you're struggling and where you're failing 70% of the time, and that's good. That's a good thing if you're failing 70% of the time. That takes a toll on you mentally. It really does. It's a game full of struggle. It's a game where you're walking up to the plate and you see your numbers up on the scoreboard right in front of you every single time. So when you start struggling, when you really start struggling, it's tough, man. It's tough to get out of. It takes a toll on you. You take it home with you. You come to the park the next day, and it sticks with you. It sticks with you when you get into the box. And look, the fact that it's a contract year, even more so. He's putting so much pressure on himself to be good, to be great, because he's seeing all these guys get paid around him. Look at this Lindor contract. Look at this contract. Look at this guy. It puts so much pressure on you, especially in a contract year. So you already have that. You have a few games in a row where you're struggling. That's tough on you mentally. And then you know in the back of your head that it's a contract year as well. Look, it's just a funk. Correa's going to rake. We all know he'll be okay. But yeah, it's a tough stretch to go through, and it's tough on you mentally. So thank you for the question. Rick, next.
Hey, Ben. What do you think of the Hunter Strickland trade? And does he become the new closer in Anaheim, or will it still be Iglesias?
Thank you for the question. The Hunter Strickland trade out there in Anaheim now for the Angels. I love it. I love it. And to answer your question about who's going to be closer, I think we'll watch that play out in front of our eyes. I don't think I can sit here right now and say Hunter Strickland is the new closer, or Iglesias will remain the closer. I don't think we know. I think Iglesias is going to continue to get a shot, and I think I think we'll let them pick who is going to be the closer of the future. But one big thing is that it's never a problem having a closer battle. It's never a problem having to decide, well, who's going to be our closer. It's always a good thing. So the fact that you're even calling in and asking who's going to be the closer is a very good thing for the Angels, because as we know, they desperately need the pitching. You know, they have two of the top MVP odds guys in the league with Trout and Ohtani, and their best pitcher is also Ohtani. So they need some guys to step up for them and be good out of the bullpen, because they're too talented on offense to be a last place team or a bottom of the division type of team. So I really like this signing for the Angels. Hunter Strickland now with the Los Angeles Angels. So thank you guys for your questions. Again, the number is 213-537-9339. Make sure you're getting those questions in every week. I have a blast answering them for you guys on the show. So thank you to you guys again that called in. But speaking of Ohtani and the Angels, we got a new segment here. And it's totally and solely about Shohei Ohtani. This week in Ohtani news. Shohei Ohtani is probably my favorite player right now. I've talked about it a bunch. Not probably, he is. Okay? My brother's not playing right now, so I get a pass, especially now. He's my favorite player. He is incredible. This week, we saw him start on the mound, and the very next day, he hit leadoff for the Angels. The first time since 1916. Now, I'm no math expert, but that seems to be over 100 years. That's pretty impressive. He also, this week, in Boston, in Fenway Park, one of the most historic stadiums ever, with 2 outs in the 9th, down to their last out, down a run, hits a bomb to right field, wins the game for the Angels. Really, he's clutch too. The man does it all. And he was also supposed to start early this week, but his start has been pushed to tomorrow, as in Wednesday. So that'll be another must-watch TV. Look, this guy is must-watch television. Every single time he takes the field, he's doing something that hasn't been done in over 100 years. The man is incredible. I wrote earlier this week for FoxSports.com about being a two-way player as he is. I did it at the college level, and if you had asked me then, is it possible to do this at the big league level as well as he is doing, I would have said no, it is impossible. I know what goes into it every day. It's pretty much putting in the effort on two different sides, as a pitcher and as a position player, and it becomes impossible to do it as well as possible at both. It feels like you're divvying up your time and you're picking and choosing what you think is most important and what you have to do. Sure, I'll go take batting practice. Sure, I need to throw my bullpen now, but you're missing a lot of stuff. And what Shohei Ohtani is doing, he's not just doing it at the big league level, he's doing it at an all-star level from each side of the field at the big league level. It is absolutely insane what Shohei Ohtani is doing, and I cannot stress that enough. And that is why we are starting a segment on our show called This Week in Ohtani News, because he is that newsworthy every single time Shohei Ohtani takes the field. All right, so that is my Shohei Ohtani news. Let's get into Sixth Tool Player of the Week. And a lot of you might say, why isn't it Ohtani? Well, let me explain to you again what Sixth Tool Player of the Week is. It's not stat-based at all. I mean, yeah, if you play well that week, you're going to do more good things to be exciting on the field, but that is what it's about. Being exciting, being fun, flipping your bats, swinging 3-0. It is super fun to watch. And obviously, Ohtani is always fun to watch. But another player this week that I wanted to showcase for this week's Sixth Tool Player of the Week is a shortstop for the Chicago White Sox, Tim Anderson. Tim Anderson had an incredible week, one at the plate, but he hit a home run earlier this week, or on last week on Thursday night, leading off the game. Thursday afternoon, hits a homer, an absolute bomb to left field. He just walked out of the box. Look, Tim Anderson is kind of like the guy that was behind this entire premise of the show. Flippin Bats. Tim Anderson brought it back. Last year, 2 years ago, he comes on the scene. He's hitting bombs. He's throwing his bat. He almost started the whole process of these bat flips. It gets the conversation going, and then it's like, guys, pile on top of it. Wait, this is fun. This is baseball. Baseball is flipping our bats. It's having fun. It's like playing wiffle ball in the backyard. If I hit a homer off of you, what am I going to do? I'm going to chuck my bat into oblivion and run the bases because it's fun. And that's what Tim Anderson has. He has fun playing the game of baseball. You know what happened this week that I loved more than anything else he did? He hit 400 on the week. He hit a bomb. He had fun around the bases. You know what I liked more than anything? There was a game earlier this week where time was called at the last second by the umpire. The pitcher was already in his windup. Pitcher goes to throw it home still, but he throws it halfway up the backstop because the pitch doesn't matter. Tim Anderson jumps up in the air as high as he could and swings at the ball like you would have seen in Little League. It was great. So this week's Six-Tool Player of the Week is Tim Anderson, and please watch this guy play baseball. It's fun. It's electric. He has fun playing this game. It's a kid's game at the end of the day, and he embodies playing it fun and having fun out there. So this week's Six-Tool Player of the Week, Tim Anderson. But one more thing. Project 70 has partnered with MLB on Fox, and for the next 9 Saturdays, there will be a certain artist featured on Baseball Night in America. This week, it's the shoe surgeon.
At a very young age, I was always very creative and hands-on. I was inspired by all types of things. A perfect shoe does not exist, and we really wanted to capture the art that's in baseball. We wanted to just do something classic.
So, I love lists. I love naming, numbering things. So I wanted to pick 5 of these cards that were my favorite, and it could change any week. These are all incredible. But one of them I have is Ronald Acuna's card by Sophia Chang. The bat flip, the iconic bat flip. That's just an incredible card. Next is Orlando Hernandez, El Duque. This one is by the Renaissance Man. Look, the El Duque leg kick is iconic. This card art shows that perfectly. So I love that card. Next is Fernando Tatis. This one's by King Saladin. I love Tatis. I love everything about the guy. He is the epitome of a six-tool player. And this card art is just sick. It shows San Diego in the background. He's screaming and yelling. It's a beautiful, beautiful card. Next, King Griffey Jr. card, The Kid. This one is by the Shoe Surgeon. It is sick. Look, King Griffey Jr. has one of the sweetest swings in history, and he's swinging on this card, so I loved this one. That is why I have it in my top 5. And another one, Albert Pujols, The Machine. This card is so cool and unique. It is by Distorted. Look, Albert Pujols is the machine, and this card art, he is the machine. He quite literally is turned into a machine on the card. So absolutely awesome card, and that is my top 5. All right, guys, that is it for this week's episode of Flippin' Bats. I wanted to thank Pedro Mora for joining me talking about Pujols. I really wanted to thank Bernie Williams, the absolute legend, for joining the show. And the new segment this week in Shohei Ohtani news, that's going to be big. I love Shohei Ohtani, so I can't wait to talk about him every single week. But guys, make sure you're subscribing to the podcast anywhere you listen to your podcast, Apple, Spotify, anywhere, and make sure you're following on all social media platforms. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, where you can watch the full episode on video. So make sure you're doing all of that, and we will see you next time on Flippin' Bats.
It's a blowout. 8th inning, 10-3. Bases are loaded for Verlander, who waits out a 3-0 pitch. He swings, and it's a high fly ball, deep center field. It is gone! Home run! And a huge bat flip to celebrate.
Thanks for watching. If you love flipping bats, swinging 3-0, or just talking ball, join us. Call us at 213-537-9339 with your questions. We have a weekly guest, and we have a lot of fun, so hit that subscribe button.